AFCON is just around the corner, and I think this poses the biggest potential slip-up for Ruben Amorim in this Manchester United team. On one hand, this could be the downfall of our season. We could hit a real turbulent period of form. But then on the other hand, if you navigate this well, it could become a real turning point in this season, which could potentially push us into a European spot. Now, Manchester United are likely going to lose 3 players this tournament: Mazraoui, Mbeumo and Ahmad. You can start with arguably our player of the season in Bryan Mbeumo, right? He's played every single game. He's played near enough every single minute. He's our top goal scorer. He's our biggest presence in that attack. And this for me is the biggest miss at this tournament. And this for me is going to be the biggest issue, is replacing that output from Bryan Mbeumo. In terms of Ahmad, brilliant player. Mazraoui, brilliant player. But the biggest issue for me is just replacing Bryan Mbeumo's output. Cunha, I think, has been very good. Sesko has been good. But neither of them have put up the numbers that Mbeumo is putting up. 5 goals, 1 assist already in the Premier League. As Pep said, we cannot replace that. And I also look at Amad Diallo in that right wing-back position. He has made that position his own, well and truly. He's played 10 games out of 11. He's really built up a connection with Mbeumo in terms of knowing when to go, knowing when to link, knowing when to go inside. He's got 1 goal, 2 assists, and I look at... He's got 1 goal, 2 assists, and I look at the rest of the fullbacks we've got in this team, or the players that can potentially play in that position, and it's not at the same level. And then Mazraoui, you look at him and you think he's a reliable, solid, very technically gifted footballer who I think Amorim actually places a lot of trust in. He's also going to be away. Now, in terms of the games that they're actually going to miss, right, the run starts on Sunday the 21st of December when we play Aston Villa away and goes right through to potentially the 24th of January in which we play Arsenal. That run of games includes Aston Villa, Newcastle, Wolves, Leeds, Burnley, City and Arsenal. That is a mixture, isn't it? You've got some teams that are relegation battle. You've got some of the top teams in the league. So it's a real difficult period for Manchester United. So tactically, what are the options for Ruben Amorim? I've come up with 3 here. There's loads of different scenarios we could go through, but these are the 3 most likely that I think he's going to do. If you look at the starting 11 for the Spurs game, right, Mazraoui, Mbeumo, Ahmad all started in that game. So you have to replace them tactically and you have to replace them positionally. I think the most obvious option for me is that Benjamin Sesko comes in back up front, providing his injury isn't too bad. Mason Mount comes back into that number 10 position. And then unfortunately, Diogo Dalot comes back in as the right wing back. That would probably represent the players that have played the most this season, barring Ahmad and Mbeumo and stuff like that. Mount has played earlier on in the season. Dalot has played a lot of minutes. I think Mason Mount has done well in some games. I think he's been poor in other games. Now, the thing that you're losing compared to Mbeumo is that output. That's quite clear. Mbeumo's probably got more goals and assists in his short time at Manchester United compared to Mount's 2.5 years. And then Dalot, who I think has been very poor this season, just seems like the option. Amorim seems to trust him for whatever reason that might be, and I cannot see a way past him not playing in these games. That would keep the rest of the team virtually the same, but I do think there is another potential option. And that secondary option is to push Bruno Fernandes into the number 10 position, which then frees up that central midfield role. We've got 2 options for that role as well. Manuel Ugarte, Kobbie Mainoo. I think in particular in them games against Manchester City and Arsenal, Manu Ugarte could be a good option in terms of tenacity, the ability to cover ground. Yes, he's not as good on the ball, but we just need to be solid in them games. But then I look at them other games, Wolves, Leeds, Burnley, and I'm thinking Kobbie Mainoo could be the perfect player to play in that role. That then allows Bruno Fernandes to play further forward, and he's possibly the only player in this squad that can compare in terms of output to Bryan Mbeumo. I think Mainoo would provide better progression from deep, especially in them games where the teams are going to sit back against us. He, for me, would be option in that deeper position. And then we have a wild card option, Shea Lacey. Now, if you follow me on TikTok, you'll know I'm a massive, massive fan of Lacey. I'll be brutally honest, I don't think Amorim's got to go for this, but when I look at it stylistically in terms of what we're losing in Mbeumo and Ahmad, he is the nearest to them as a style. Low centre of gravity, inverted, technical on the ball, technically secure. It is a massive risk to just drop him into the first team, but especially in them attacking positions, just give him the freedom to go and do it. I actually think he'd look really, really good in one of them number 10 positions. Like I said, the Leeds, the Wolves game, they might be the games in which you do that. It might not be the City, the Arsenal game, but for me, give the player an opportunity. I think in summary, this is undoubtedly just another test for Ruben Amorim, right? If we want European football at the end of the season, he has to find a way to get some consistency throughout this period. You think into next season, right? What happens if one of them big players gets injured? What happens if Mbeumo, Bruno, Cunha, what happens if they get injured? What do you do? This is essentially that. If you're going to get European football, you have to be able to deal with that. This is a brand new YouTube channel as well, people. So if you enjoy Manchester United, you don't enjoy Manchester United, but you enjoy football, follow along, subscribe, hit the like button.